We're back, and we're going to talk about Tiger Woods, guys. And, of course, a big win last week at the Bridgestone Invitational. One that, personally, I think we should be quite impressed with, the way he played, especially, I believe it was the second round when he shot a 61. He was not too far off 59, guys. That's pretty good, especially leading up to the next championship coming up this weekend. But should we be impressed? Because it's just another championship. It's not a major. Majors are what people look at and say, you know what, that's impressive. That's a great golfer. He won a major, several majors. Until Tiger Woods does that, is it fair to say that, you know what, this is just normal? This is secondary compared to if he did win a major?
Well, I think Tiger Woods is held to a different standard. So it's really not fair. You know, there he goes, he wins an event, and
he's won 5 this year.
Yeah. But we're arguing if it's good enough. You know, a lot of guys would give their right arm to win an event, and here Tiger Woods is doing it, and we're questioning whether he's any good anymore. But
yeah, he's definitely a different level. When you win 5 tournaments and it's kind of ho-hum until you win a major, yeah, he's kind of up here and everybody else is down here. So we're expecting him to stay up there and to win a majors eventually. But it may not work for him this season. But at the same time, he may win another couple more tournaments this year, and we consider it a disappointing year for Tiger, that's kind of hard. Well,
you have the final major coming up this weekend. Does he have an opportunity to win and at least be favored to? As you know, I know normally he's always up there, but still, do you feel that he's in a much better position than he was in the previous 3 championships?
Tiger Woods is always favored, you know, going into any event. So his only issue is no different than me, consistency. You know, so yeah, I'd say he's favored, you know, just based on what he did this weekend and going into that major. So
you have to consider him as one of the favorites, not the favorite, but one of the favorites.
Okay, guys, this guy wasn't a favorite with the Montreal media or the fans alike. However, Jim Popp stood by him, and of course, I'm talking about Dan Hawkins. Now, after 5 games and their poor performances, he was fired from his job. Jim Popp is now actually taken over as the interim coach. Now, this was a guy they hired, much like Mark Trestman. No CFL experience, but you know what? We'll just go with the gamble, and it worked out perfectly. You won 2 Grey Cups with Trestman, and Popp thought maybe I could do it another time and become a CFL guru at the GM position. It failed miserably, and he's had to take over. But where is the next head coach for Montreal going to come by? And I think this is a big thing. Do you go with an outside guy once again, or do you bring in a guy with CFL experience? Doug Barry, is a part of the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
He's one of the offensive coordinators for Montreal. Should he not get the opportunity to step in? He does have experience, has led a team to a Grey Cup.
Yeah, I was actually surprised they didn't name him the head coach right away, because here's a guy that has CFL experience coaching at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You think that he would just jump right in as a head coaching role, but he's the offensive coordinator. It's a perfect fit, but maybe they're looking at something else.
well, I think the Alouettes' success has come from within for the last 6-7 years. So the fact that they bring somebody new in and he doesn't do it proves that they got to stay with him.
But it worked with Trestman.
Well, it may have worked with them, but I'm just saying the Alouettes' success, didn't come from, it came from within the organization. So I think they need to continue on those lines, and the guy was only 2-3 anyway. So
and you got to think there's a lot of different things happening with Montreal right now. Whitaker's out for a couple of weeks.
They lost Jamal Richardson.
Richardson's gone for the season, and AC's not an AC.
But how much is it to blame for Dan Hawkins? Their relationship, they were butting heads.
Oh yeah.
Compared to Mark Trestman, who Kelville thought of as a second father, a guy who absolutely he loved and cherished, and you saw the success and how they worked together. But I think it's a little unfair to go after Dan Hawkins so much because if you want to talk about screw-ups, it should be Jim Popp.
Many times if the GM hires the coach and it doesn't work out early on, it's a failure for the GM because he's the one that, just like any other position in any job, if a boss hires a person and he fails that early, you probably didn't hire the right person.
Oh, actually, speaking of which, you bring me a perfect segue, Greg, and we're going to talk about the way the Winnipeg Blue Bombers handled Buck Pierce. Now this, if there's a comedy out there in the CFL. It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and how they handle their staff. It's just hilarious how they go with Buck Pierce. They didn't bring in anybody else. Go with Buck Pierce saying you're a number one guy. Then all of a sudden we're like, you know what? We're going with Goltz. We're going to put you as our third stringer, not a backup. Is this the beginning of the end of Buck Pierce? Is my first question. And secondly, how is it that the general manager, Joe Mack, still has a job in Winnipeg?
Because he's cheap, and I bet you the owner likes that as well.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what it's all about. And Buck Pierce won't be there because he's getting paid too much money to be a third-string quarterback. So I say Buck's on his way out.
You know, you got to feel for Buck because when he was getting hurt all the time, they were saying that he's the heart and guts of that Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and all of a sudden he gets hurt one more time, and it's like, well, we're going to bump you down to third string. And Buck's not happy. Don't blame him, and he won't be there after Labor
Well,
Day.
do you see the hits Justin Goltz took? Maybe they should fix that O-line.
Football is about preparation and execution, so I don't think it's ever fair to blame one person because, you know, there can be a breakdown anywhere, and it is what it is. It's a breakdown. So, and Buck Pierce, you know, he's seen that.
Yeah, you know, I'm a Riders fan, so I don't really feel so, really too bad for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now.
No, you can say that about the province itself as a whole.
Yeah.
So,
Riders have had some, had some off years, I think. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, now they actually have a quarterback, which they haven't had in decades. So
And we have an offensive line that can protect him, unlike Winnipeg.
there you go. All right, guys, we're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we have over/under, and we'll see if Greg Buchanan can rebound after last week's loss.